Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It's time to talk some Week 15 NFL action on our Tuesday closing line show. Nope, it's our opening line show, people. Let's get after it today. It's myself, it's Kyle Purviance, it's sportsbookreview.com, and we are here to have some fun on Tuesday. We'll bring in Dave Mason in just a few moments, but I got to say, Kyle, I'm getting older here, and these days are tougher on me, specifically on Tuesdays, because we would have a banger on our Monday Night Football show like we did last night. I got to stay up late. It ruins my day, but I got to get the energy recharged and get after it because we got these opening lines we got to get over, man.
That's right. And I mean, it's hard for Phillip Rivers to get energized on a Monday. Nine kids,
all these
homeschooling,
kids,
teaching them how to play offensive line. No, I can't believe it's Week 15. I mean, I know we say that every week, but I mean, we've only got 3 weeks left of the regular season. Then we get down to the playoffs. That's going to be a lot of fun. And as usual, I love having Dave on. Love getting that perspective from over there. And our chats behind the scenes are always a ton of fun. So I'm excited for Week 15. The energy level is up. And Donnie, you turned a bit orange on us right there. So you might want to do the camera. Or are you just bathing out in the sun in the Caribbean? Which I love right there. No, I'm excited for Week 15.
I am radiating energy today because my Philadelphia Eagles took down the New Orleans Saints, and I had to put on an Eagles shirt. And the best part about this Eagles shirt is, Kyle, I even went buttoned up all the way up top. Like, this is how serious we're going to get coming down the stretch here in the playoffs. Let's not wait any further here and bring in our guest on Tuesdays here, Dave Mason from BetOnline.ag, a fellow Eagles alumnus here. He's ready. I know he's ready to give us a decent price on those Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East Championship. Dave, welcome in. It's Tuesday. Let's talk some football.
Yeah, bud. Another good weekend for the Bucs this past weekend. A lot of action, and football season's almost over, but regular season, but we got 3 more weeks to do it. It's amazing how fast this damn season flies by.
No, you're so right about it too, Dave, because when you talk about it, it hurts my soul a little bit that I come on these shows and say, let's get ready for Week 15. Where did the season go? But then you get that little boost of energy and say, we still got playoff football. We're going to have some wild card weekend, divisional matchups, championship matchups, and the Super Bowl to go. So a lot of good stuff to talk about here. But before we get to the news here and talk about these Philadelphia Eagles making a run for the NFC East Championship, let's talk about 76,600 people have hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for doing that. If you haven't done so yet, you see us talking right here just below on YouTube. If that button is red, flip it over to gray and turn those notifications on, because when we go live and talk NFL action, you'll get it delivered directly to your inbox. Welcome in Akbar, Bruno, the Sports Group, Mark, and the Dude. Now, business out of the way. Let's have some fun because, yes, we're going to talk EAGLES Eagles now. Helping the books out, I got to assume you're Dave Mason, coming up big and winning that because I know everybody, including myself, teasered up, moneyline parlayed up. No way those Eagles go down, Dave. But yet, the Eagles picked up the victory here.
Oh, yeah, man, and we needed them. Besides my heart, needed it for the book, and banged out, like you said, teasers got demolished, and moneyline parlays, and we needed them to eat the birds on the spread, the Eagles, and it was a great outcome for the book, without a doubt.
He made it hurt so good. He did. He channeled his inner John Cougar Mellencamp. I actually love what I saw out of Jalen Hurts. He kind of reminded me of a young Russell Wilson, just like his frame, the way he moved around. I liked all that. But speaking of another team that needs to fly that is not flying, how about the New York Jets? I mean, can you make a number high enough for the Jets every week? I mean, this is like Middle Tennessee State versus Alabama every single week. Now we're looking at, 17, 16 and a half this week. Is there any number that's too high for the Jets? What are your thoughts on all that, Dave?
I mean, 17's a big number, right? I mean, that's a key number for as far as big numbers go. And, you don't want to go too much higher, because the history is just once it gets in that 20-point range, teams, the underdog, the history just shows that's just too many points, even if the team is god awful and the other team's a machine. So, 17, what is it? We got 67% of the early bettors are on the Rams at -17. That'll probably come down a little bit. What I've seen over the years, whenever it gets in that range, you really don't have big needs either way. That's rarely one of the big bet games of the week. When it's in that 17 to 20, whatever range.
Yeah.
It's one of the least popular games. A lot of people just stay off that because it is so many damn points. But early action, 67% of the early bettors are on the Rams. But again, it's one of the games that is getting the least amount of volume.
Nick, I mean, when you look at the game, too, because sometimes when you have that surefire win, which you think you're going to get on the Rams, it's a good parlay piece. It's a good – I mean, what are we doing, teasing it down to 11 points? That's outrageous to try to do something like that in the NFL. But also, now coming into more focus here, you saw the Jets come right down to the wire. They should have beaten the Las Vegas Raiders. Now they get shelled by, a 16-point line in Seattle. Now you're looking at a 16, 17-point line for the Rams. It's pretty evident they're probably not going to win a football game. Where is BetOnline, Dave, looking at some of the odds here on the Jets to actually finish the season 0-16?
Yeah, minus 200 on yes. Now they got 3 games left: at Rams versus Browns, at Patriots to close it out. I don't know how they're going to win any of those. A little correction. I remember last week I had the odds flipped, so there's a little fake news on that. I told you guys. Yeah. So sorry about that. Little dyslexic thing kicking in there on last week's show. So I apologize for that. But now it's minus 200 on yes.
Well, that is just imagine that. Think about that. Minus 200 to go winless for this season. What an absolute embarrassment for the Jets. So let's jump over to the other embarrassment, and that is the NFC East. No. One of these teams is going to make the playoffs. So, after last week, of course, we had Washington pulling out a big win against the 49ers, the Giants falling to the Cardinals, and then, of course, your guys, Eagles, pulling off a big win over the Saints. What are the odds looking like in the NFC East? And is there a team outside of your personal preference, of course, that's making you the most nervous that, might cost you a little bit if they go ahead and win the division?
The football team is the odds-on favorite now, minus 260. Giants are next at plus 375. Fly Eagles fly plus 600, and then the Dallas Cowboys 50-1. So they're bringing up the rear of the Cowboys, which is fine. The guys in Philly, Donnie will tell you, as long as the Cowboys finish below us, that's kind of a silver lining there, no matter where we finish. But as far as exposure is concerned, Giants, taking all that New York money, they're our biggest exposure there for the NFC East.
Amazing. The Giants laid an egg on Sunday afternoon. Then you take a look at Washington. Say what you want about them. You finally get a decent head coach that puts out a competent product, and the defense scores a few times on defense to carry them to a victory over the 49ers. And usually as fans, even when we talk the NFC East, it's really bad, but we still do the math in our heads all right, if we go 2-1, this team goes 2-1, this team goes 1-2, we go 2-1. And then I snap back to reality and say, what am I doing here? The Eagles lost another tackle, so they'll be going into this game versus Arizona, who just clobbered the Giants, who we thought were the best team in the NFC East. You're on your third string left tackle, your third string right tackle. The guards have been switched around. You have a rookie quarterback who did play well against the New Orleans Saints, but now you're asking him to replicate that effort on the road against a team that's probably going to score some points. And maybe the Philadelphia Eagles down 3 of their 4 secondary members. So I always have to remember, in the past, usually, Dave, we're coming down the stretch here. We're having fun with the Eagles because, they have 9 wins or 10 wins. Can we get a bye? Can we win the division? 4 wins. And I'm saying, how can we do this? I'm saying, do I even want to do this? And how crazy I'm actually doing that. Now, we always have Super Bowl aspirations in Philadelphia. Hey, we even got lucky with one in that 2017-2018 season. But now we look and say the Super Bowl odds coming into focus here because we see those upper echelon teams here. I'm sure the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody's going to be heavy on. The Steelers just a couple weeks ago riding that train of being undefeated, now suffer 2 losses. Are there any teams that are creeping up that you say from your perspective, boy, I can't have this team win the Super Bowl or we might be in trouble? And maybe a dog that says, you know what? We're seeing some steam come in on some of these teams with the odds to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, our liabilities, we have liability on 4 teams, and that's going to be 3 teams very soon. The Buccaneers have been our big liability since the Tom Brady news broke 10 months ago or whenever the hell that was. 9 months ago, people were just pounding the hell out of the Buccaneers. That liability is just massive, absolutely massive. So definitely rooting against them. Chiefs, unfortunately, we have a large liability on them. Giants, a medium liability. And lastly, right? That's the thing. Every year it seems like you're in the red on some Giants. It's weird though, because you get that New York money, but it's so many times I see a liability on the Giants, but never the Jets, though. So you get that kind of New York money coming in, but I think that New York favoritism money goes to the Giants, and they forget about the Jets. So there's something there that's kind of interesting. Anyways, so the Giants, they're a medium liability. I'm not really concerned about that one too much. And then the Steelers is small, and it's getting smaller. We won't be taking a lot of action on them so this week, so that will probably turn into a black figure. Besides that, it's all winners, man. We're in the black with every other team, so really not sweating anybody else as of now.
Yeah, that's got to be tough sweating the Kansas City Chiefs because it looks like it's going to be tough to beat that football team. And, we're late in the season now, week 15. So we know what that means now, all the way up through wild card weekend. We get Saturday, all the way through championship weekend, really. We get Saturday football. And I got to imagine that's a good thing for the books because some game, this week we've got Buffalo and Denver. Carolina, Green Bay, I'm sure you always get some money in on Green Bay because, it's one of those national favorite teams. But I got to assume it doubles the action for these games at least being played on Saturday. Books excited about Saturday NFL?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, anytime there's a standalone game, I don't care if it's a Saturday or a Wednesday afternoon last week or Tuesday night doubleheader or whatever the hell else is going on this year. We love it. I mean, you said it, you get at least twice as much action on those games. And, 5 standalone games this week, Thursday, 2 Saturdays, a Sunday night and a Monday night. It will sign us up for that every day of the week, every week of the season, without a doubt. And the early action's pouring in on these games. 79% is on the Bills early action, -7. That's going to be a huge need. Everything that weekend is going to be every teaser placed that weekend is going to be keyed on that Bills game. I'll tell you that much. So that'll be massive. And the other game, Panthers at Packers, about 57% of the early actions on the Panthers +10. So we're looking forward to it. And a Broncos outright would really would be a good one for the house, without a doubt.
It's interesting too, Dave. We take a look at Sunday afternoon action. You go down, it's like, I want to get excited by these teams are playing. Then you realize, this isn't really folding out the way we thought it would be. Tampa Bay, Atlanta should have been a big game. It's not. Houston, Indianapolis should have been a big game. It's not. And then you take a look at teams like San Francisco, Dallas before the season started. Boy, week 15, that should be a good one. The NFL actually tries to do the right thing last week and flexes the New York Giants into prime time, only off of one of their worst performances of the season. Now they go up against Cleveland. But you still do have that 4:25 Kansas City, New Orleans game, which we're seeing some movement on here. Some books open up 3.5. Now we're shifting to 3s, even some 2.5s that I'm looking at across the board. Sunday afternoon action. Which are some of the bigger games that you believe that you'll be taking some action on? I know we get the Kansas City, New Orleans game, but there's not a lot to love, but we're all gamblers. We seem to love every game just because we bet on that game, Dave.
No, absolutely. There's already some huge early exposures here. 86% early actions on the Dolphins versus the Patriots. Seahawks is a huge 174% from the Seahawks, -6 at the football team. Eagles, baby, like I said earlier, the early bettors are on Jalen Hurts train. 79% of the early actions on the Eagles, plus a touchdown at Cardinals. And that big one, 80% of the bettors are on the Chiefs, -3. At the Saints. So those are some of our biggest needs, and there's more. Just about every dang game has a sweat attributed somehow when you factor in teasers, parlays, and everything else.
Gotta love those parlays. I love me some parlays. Had some good luck, especially MMA lately here. I actually wanted to touch on the Kansas City, New Orleans game a little bit. Do you expect, right now, Drew Brees maybe comes back for this game? If Drew Brees is ruled out and they're committed to Taysom Hill, do you expect that line to move a little bit? Because I'm looking at that thinking a Taysom Hill quarterback early on, maybe some foreshadowing in the show later. It seems a little short for the Chiefs, even though they've been really bad against the spread. Some of their margins this year, the last several weeks, just haven't been very good, and they haven't covered. Do you think that line moves if Drew Brees is announced in or out, or do you think it stays about the same?
It'll move a little bit. And a lot of public action will come in too, determined on that too, which could move it as well. So it's not going to be a huge move, I don't think. But it'll move a bit either way.
Dave, by the way, before we get you going here, I do want to ask you one quick thing about last night, because we did a live show. We had a great time watching. I mean, primarily we're over better, so we were overjoyed with the way that game worked out, prop bets and whatnot. But from your end of the perspective, of course, we've all watched that last second play where didn't mean anything to the game, but boy, it meant a lot to the books. Did that help or hurt you guys last night, Dave, from your perspective?
It hurt a little bit. Not a ton though. The final grade was decent, but again, you just factor in so many different props and spread and everything, every which way. You drive yourself crazy trying to figure it all out. But it definitely hurt a little bit. But all in all, it wasn't a great result for the book. But we won a little bit of money. It was a little bit over break even.
Now, it was amazing to watch it play out there, Dave. Know you're working hard down there at betonline.ag. Tell the good people what we have to look forward to, because in season is really what we're at now that NBA is underway, NCAA football still underway, championship weekend, some big things coming up. Tell the people out there what's going on at betonline.ag.
Yes, sir. We have the earliest opening odds in the industry, which is great value, better than a bonus. But if you want bonuses, go to our promotions page. We have 100% first-time crypto bonus, 50% first-time bonus for other methods, 35% reloads for crypto, and 25% reloads for other methods. We have all sorts of contests, some good contests coming up. We're going to have a bowl pick'em contest, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So come on over to betonline.ag.
There you go. A lot of good stuff going on there, Dave. Thank you once again for joining us here on Tuesday, talking a little bit of NFL football. And I know you are a tired man paying out a lot of bets from the election, but good news for you, Dave. 2024 is not too far away, so enjoy the time with you. Thanks again for joining us today.
Take care.
There you go. Dave Mason from betonline.ag joining us on Tuesdays. Love having guests here to get that perspective, because as we did yesterday as well, Kyle, we're not expecting in the last 2 seconds watching the game, hey, awesome field goal, game over, Baltimore Ravens win, we'll shut it down. Thanks for joining us here on the show. Turn it off, and wildness ensues after we get off the air. Awesome stuff last night, Fair. And again, we made some money. Thank God that didn't impact us, but I know you sitting on that -3 in the game, that had to feel good.
Oh, it felt great because I just thought it was a push. And I mean, I had 1.5 earlier in the week too. So I had several bets going on with Baltimore because, I had to. I've been telling everyone how much Cleveland stinks the entire season. They didn't stink that much. It was actually a pretty impressive performance by that offense. But yeah, that was a nice little bonus. I thought it was a typo. Honest to God, when I looked, I was like, wait, why did I get paid out in full? Why is it saying 47-42? What the hell happened? Because I didn't even see the play. We were getting off the air and, getting ready to walk inside and enjoy our night. Crazy stuff. That's why the NFL is the NFL. You got to play every single play. It's crazy.
Yeah, if you felt real good if you got it on the right side of that actual move there. So interesting stuff nonetheless. But let's start our action here on Week 15. But before we do that, we always like to put a bow on Week 14. I love to go over some winners and losers here. Kyle, I'll start with you first. From Week 14, give me a winner or two that you looked at and said, you know what? It's a football team headed in the right direction. I like what they did.
Yeah, I think you start with the Arizona Cardinals, right? So you get the Vikings, they lose. They drop a game behind you. You go into New York, play a team. A lot of people were liking New York. I was fortunate enough to be on Arizona. Kyler Murray finally looked like they sort of took the shackles off, if you will, and let him run a little bit more. So that tells you that shoulder is healthier. They beat a good defense. They shut down that offense, move a game up on Minnesota for the wild card in the NFC. So I think that was a big win, a big week for the Arizona Cardinals. And one more team, you got to say the Buffalo Bills, right? I mean, they go out, their defense hasn't been that good this year, hasn't been the same, not what we expected out of that defense. Then we go out, you beat Pittsburgh, 8 days before was undefeated. They shut down that offense. They looked really, really good. I think the Buffalo Bills really put the stamp on the AFC East. I know it's not over yet, but it looks like they're going to win that division. I mean, they haven't won the division. Josh Allen wasn't even alive the last time they won this division. Yeah. They're going to win this division now. I liked what I saw out of Buffalo, and a big week in terms of playoff positioning and just confidence in the health of Kyler Murray for the Arizona Cardinals.
And I'll rotate here on a winner before we get back to the losers here. With game, we didn't talk about that much, even though we did a show on Thursday. But now you come back on, it sort of gets out of your mind because Sunday plays, Monday plays. But the Los Angeles Rams dump trucking the Patriots on Thursday night and making quick work of that team. This is a team heading in the right direction towards the playoffs. If you, I say this all the time, and I hope I don't have to keep saying it, but because it's going to draw me into a loss and it's going to piss me off. Jared Goff, if he just gives you a good effort, that's a hell-on-wheels football team that has 3 good running backs, a good offensive line, wide receivers that can do damage, one of the best play callers, if not the best play caller in the NFL, and now buoyed by a top-5 defense back again. This is like the team that they're making that Super Bowl run with, but I always know that quarterback holds you back just a little bit. Also, you're right on the Buffalo Bills. Sensational effort heading down the stretch. That team's going to give Kansas City all it can handle if it stays healthy. So I'm going to pivot, and before I throw it back to a loser-type environment for us, NFC East, a little bit of a loser end because I thought the Giants, not the fact that they lost the game, how embarrassing they were, and it makes me, like, I know what Joe Judge is doing, and maybe he's looking towards the future, but they were getting smacked in the third quarter. He's still trying to establish the run for no apparent reason. They look listless on offense, which they have been for the most part of the year, but getting lucky. Yeah, you can get shut out versus the Seattle Seahawks, and they came back and won. They tried to do the same thing, say, hey, no big deal. We get shut out in the first half again. You're not going to do that against decent teams week in and week out, so straight up loser on that front for me. And then the other team I'm going to go with, because they're 0-16, is there any way that they can do this, Kyle, in the NFL? Like, just the Jets say, hey, look, we contact tracing, we're in trouble. We just need the forfeit. We want to forfeit. We don't want to play anymore. 185 yards on offense. It's not like, I don't even mind that, Kyle, if you lose 17-10, 17-3. You lost 40-3, and you couldn't even get junk drives together in that game. Your field goal kicker couldn't make anything. What's the point of the Jets playing? Ultimate losers, man. Go ahead with your losers of the week.
Yeah, and hey, if that did happen, we'd all win as NFL fans because we'd get an extra playoff team and more playoff football. And who doesn't want that, right?
They could win. They could be winners, yeah.
Yeah, that would make us all winners. So I kind of like that. Some losers of the week, I think you got to start with the Las Vegas Raiders. They have looked absolutely terrible the last 3 weeks. I mean, they were in prime position. Everyone's up on the Raiders. You know, I'm looking like the jerk who said they were going to stink before the year, and everyone's and I mean, I know they won the game against the Jets, but they shouldn't have. I mean, think about how bad that we just talked about how dreadful the Jets are, and they, for all intents and purposes, beat the Raiders if it wasn't for, you know, a bonehead / inside job coup type of play call by Greg Williams there. Then, I mean, you get smashed by Atlanta, and then you come out and the Colts. Look, if you're trying to establish yourself as a playoff team in the AFC, you need to win that game against the Colts. Colts made it look easy. I think it was a bad week for the Raiders, watching themselves fall out of playoff contention. I don't think you have a whole lot of positive vibes right now if you're a Raiders fan. And another team's the Minnesota Vikings. Look, we know Kirk Cousins struggles against good teams, but you're in prime position. You're in the wild card hunt. You go into Tampa Bay, and you just lay an egg. I mean, that Tampa Bay secondary is not very good. That defense has certainly regressed. And you go out there, you lay an egg. Your defense can't stop anybody. Now you're on the outside looking in the NFC playoff picture. Vikings, Raiders, big losers for me this week.
Yeah, quick topic here before we hit all these games here in Week 15 and really get after it. Some of those teams that we look at, because as we're going down the stretch, I think everybody has playoff aspirations, even the Jets a couple weeks ago. Not to say they're in the playoff aspiration mode, but, you know, it's not all death and despair out here. You still have, we could we can win maybe a couple games down the stretch, but now you're seeing the true MO of football teams where really draft position matters a lot more than where you're lining up in your division. Yeah. Some teams that we take a look at that are saying that are really hard for me to keep betting on, or even if I'm not making wagers on, I look at the game and I just pass over. The Patriots are one of those football teams to me because when you watch them, nothing makes sense on the football team. Zero pass rush, decent secondary, couple decent running backs, nothing at wide receiver, and a quarterback that looks like the football weighs 700 pounds when he tries to throw it. That's one of those teams I look at and say, you know what, I need to pass on, but also a team that won over the weekend that I bet on with the team total, won fairly easily. That was with the Dallas Cowboys, who put up 30 points, but they can't block. It's like pulling teeth moving the football. It's one of those where I look at, and also your San Francisco 49ers, because I get a real laugh out of this when I look at it as well, because they gave up 193 yards on offense last week, and they got beat in that game. And I want to pull my hair out because Nick Mullins gave that game away. So like that meme that we see across Twitter all the time, Kyle, that says, you know what, I'm never betting San Francisco. I see them lining up against the Cowboys, and it's like, here we go again with me going down the street and my wife beater saying, here's my money, let me plunk it down on those 49ers. Those teams are going to be tough for me to bet moving forward, but I guarantee you they're going to eventually draw me back in the last few weeks.
Yeah, man, those 49er Cowboys games when I was a kid that's all I looked forward to. Even if Elvis Gerbach was starting, that's all I looked forward to in those Cowboys 49er games. But I agree with you on New England. It's hard to get a read on that team. Some weeks they go out, they throw for 40 yards and they score 45 points. I have gotten the Patriots wrong all season long. I finally got them right this week because I felt like the Rams would beat them. Another team for me like that's just really up and down and can never get a good beat on is the Denver Broncos. Sometimes, Drew Lock comes out there. They're making big plays and all this stuff is working. And then other weeks, it's like, God, they can't even get a first down. Vic Fangio's punting from the 40-yard line. And it's just the Denver Broncos and the Patriots have been absolutely just mystifying to me all year long. Those are two teams. Basically, when I see those games, I just stay the hell away from because I have no idea what version of that team I'm going to get.
That's a great one on Denver, man. So much talent because I went back and one of the first games I wanted to watch on Monday morning was the Denver Broncos Carolina Panthers game. And you see the shots because Tim Patrick, most people don't watch the Broncos because they don't really factor in all that much. Drew Lock stinks. They're out on the West Coast, so you might concentrate on your team more. Patrick's a good wide receiver. Judy's a good wide receiver. Hamler can get open. They're going to get Courtland Sutton back next year. If Noah Fant can ever stay on the field and their offensive line doesn't get the sniffles, they have the semblance, and again, two good running backs, the semblance of a really good football team, but they're so enigmatic because you don't know who's in or who's out. You don't know when the quarterback's going to step up and make big throws. They played really well. They're going to level up in competition, which we'll talk about in just a few moments here, between them and the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. But those are always hard. But you know what's interesting to me? I like that steady hand, Kyle. We say, you know what? You come on the show, I know exactly what I'm going to get out of Kyle. You know exactly what you're going to get out of me. And that's 3-3 in the Pick Six contest. I did hit my double down, so I won money. But every week, it's 3-3 for me, which I did again. Maybe next year, we'll open it up to team totals. I could do some damage. Yeah. But sides and just regular totals put me as a 50-50 guy, and hopefully I hit that double down.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been like that a lot, but I ended up having a great week. I went 5-1 this week, moved into the top 74 overall. It would have been a perfect 6-0, except those Jets couldn't get to 8 points. I mean, the total, I took the over 47 because we talked about it all week. I was taking the pain with the Jets, having a little bit of fun, of course.
Yeah.
And, they go out opening drive, get the field goal, miss 3 more kicks. Seattle puts up 40. You only need 47 for the total in the game, and we don't get there. So I went 5-1, but a solid week. Hoping to have another one of those this week. Getting maybe that top 25 make us look good here on the show,
Absolutely. By the way, we're going to let this chat box fire it up now that we're going to start talking about some NFL games for this weekend. But it is fun to talk about pain because I always like to call it like Monday morning quarterback. Like that's back-to-back weeks, Kyle. Like if you came in and said, hey, Kyle, look, I got a hot tip for you, man. Seattle is getting 40 points this weekend. And you're like, oh, my God, like the over-unders, mid-40s. Let me just run and put my house on this game, and you lose it. The same way the week before, somebody comes up to you, knocks on your Kyle. I got this hot tip. The New England Patriots are going to drop 45 in this game today. Yeah. And you go, the over-under is 47.5. Oh, my God, this is I'm going to call all my friends and get into this nice little Ponzi scheme. And it ends up 45-0. You don't cash. So the NFL is a wild, wild sport here. But let's get into it, have some fun, and talk some full slate action this weekend because we do have a Thursday night football game, 2 Saturday games, and a Sunday slate. And again, we talked with Dave. I mean, I'm going to watch my Eagles. I don't think they're going to win this weekend against Arizona. But then again, it seems like I never think they're going to win. And for right, because they usually don't ever win. But that one game at 425 was just great. But everything else, if you're not a gambler, this is the week you go out with the wife, the girlfriend, or whoever. Go buy your presents, wrap your presents for Christmas because there's not a lot of interest. And a lot of people have already been knocked out of their fantasy league. So us gamblers know how to handle this. So let's have some fun Thursday night football. 301-302. Chargers and the Raiders. And again, if you watch the last few minutes of the last game that the Chargers played versus Atlanta, it's what not to do in football. But unbelievably, if I told you the setup, you would have definitely thought the Chargers lost that game, but they actually picked up a victory and now going to have an AFC West showdown here. Vegas still trying to hang around in the playoffs. They got thumped by Indianapolis. If we take a look at SPRodds.com, 60-40 split here in overall tickets. Opens up at 3, now sits at 3.5 for the home team Las Vegas Raiders. Are we trusting them in that favored role, or are we just going to line up and say, hey, if we can get healthy on offense here for the Chargers, why not go over 53? Because it seems like if you engage the Raiders, they'll engage back. Still a high number for a Thursday. Not in love with this game, but sometimes I lean towards here, Kyle. One team's got something to play for. The other one's just playing,
Yeah, and I mean, Anthony Lynn is just a god-awful coach. I mean, yeah, they pulled it out. They figured out a way to win the game.
How about the end of the first half, too?
That's what I want to get to right there. So all week it's, Anthony Lynn. He's the special team. He's going to take over the special teams. And then literally you call a running play. Then you run half of your field goal team out there. The team has no idea what's going on. No one has a clue what's going on. Anthony Lynn is yelling at somebody on the side saying, why didn't you throw the ball? Well, you're the head coach. I'm pretty sure you can hear every play going through, so stop blaming everybody else, which he continues to do all year long. Absolutely pathetic. I mean, if you're the owner of that team, you're looking going, wait, I thought our head coach was taking over the special teams. They can't even get that right. Then you go to the Raiders, who I just talked about, lose by 5 touchdowns to the Falcons, get a miracle win over the hapless Jets, then get boat raced by the Colts. Who am I supposed to trust in this game? It's like a cruel trick that this is a standalone game on Thursday because I don't trust either one of these teams. I think you're right. You go with the team that has more to play for. This rivalry is obviously, for the Chargers, this is their biggest rivalry in the division. Man, I'm going to have to rewatch that Falcons-Chargers game. I haven't got there yet. I did get a chance to rewatch the Colts Raiders game. That Raiders defense is really bad, and if Herbert gets hot, they can score points. Like Eckler and Keenan Allen and Henry and Herbert, they've got all this talent on offense, and the Raiders defense is really, really bad. So will it shock me if the Chargers cover? No. Can I trust the Chargers to beat anybody? No. Do I trust the Raiders? No. It's a really scary game right now. I think you're right. If I'm betting just something in this game, it's probably the over. I think both defenses are pretty vulnerable, and the Raiders should move the ball well. If I'm picking a side early in the week, oh, God, I can't even believe I'm saying it, but I think I got to take the home team Raiders very tentatively so far. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, the dude says Raiders play well versus average support teams, which not really the case because you look at their last 3 games. They got donkey punched by Atlanta, should have lost to the Jets, the worst team in football, and really didn't show up all that much against Indianapolis in that 44-27 game. Bruno says if the Raiders find a way to lose this game, I'm done with them. And hey, it's a hard one because, again, you're trying to look at a team that says we have to win, but then when you look at it, it's not as if they're winning. I mean, yeah, they put up a fight against Kansas City, which seems like everybody puts up a fight against Kansas City. And yes, they killed Denver about a month ago, but those last 3 games where you're heading down the stretch playing for, not just for pride, but for actually getting into the playoffs, you don't show up in Atlanta. You should have lost to the worst team in football, and you don't show up at home to the Indianapolis Colts. So there's something has to be, the changing of the guard, so to speak, in that aspect, but they really haven't shown up. And now we're just led to believe, again, I'm on the same wavelength. Hey, they have to win. They should win. Well, it's not like they're just barely losing to good teams. I mean, you got to wake up and smell the coffee here, but you're right. Somebody in the chat box said opened up at 55, now down to 53. Thursday night football game, division rival. Boy, tough one. Again, we'll sharpen those pencils on Thursday. It's good that we have an extra couple days to get ready for this one. Let's hit the Saturday card here, 345, 346. Buffalo and Denver. What an amazing, amazing performance by the Buffalo Bills, just dismantling the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, score, you could look at it and be, hey, look, it was close towards the end. Don't even look at it that way, because how one football team is more dominant? They do the same thing, or they did the same thing that the Chiefs do to teams. If you kick off to the Chiefs, or you give the Chiefs the ball like 7 minutes to go in a one-possession game, you're never getting the ball back or the Chiefs are scoring. What was so impressive in that game was not that Buffalo was down early and got a pick 6 to get back in the game at the half. It was the second half of football when they went into the locker room, Kyle, made adjustments and came back out and flatlined, for all intents and purposes, the Steelers. But also after Big Ben, or I should say dumb Big Ben, on 3rd and 4, just decided to throw a YOLO pass downfield that gets intercepted, you say, okay, they could still do some damage here or get the ball back or try to get in the game. I believe there's like 7 minutes, a little bit over 7 minutes on the clock. Buffalo just went right down the field and didn't even allow the Steelers to get the ball back. That shows the capability of that team when all they're trying to do is run the clock out and the other team can't even get stops. That was impressive. They're going to go and play Denver on the road. They're the better football team, but now you're looking at 6s turning into 6.5s, over-unders 48-50. Decent weather in Denver. You're going to get around mid-40s light winds, which is good as you can anticipate in Denver in late December. I still got to go with the Buffalo Bills because one thing I trust here, Kyle, and Brown is back to practice. And if he gets healthy, watch out on offense. I know when Josh Allen drops back, I think I'm going to get a really good effort and a really good play and a competent play. When Drew Lock drops back, it's like, ooh, yeah, great play, as opposed to when Josh Allen drops back, like, oh, big play's coming here. I got to go with the road squad here. Short week, big win against the Steelers. They're playing for more. I think they pick up an easy victory here, win by 7 or more out in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree, but again, I just talked about it. I can never get the Denver Broncos right because I don't think anyone can. I don't think the Denver Broncos can get the Denver Broncos right. They don't know what they're going to get. You're right. Sometimes Drew Lock drops back. You're like, what an amazing arm and throw to those young, fast receivers. And then other times, like, wow, that went to nobody. It's a pick. Denver puts up 6 points. I mean, they're just such a maddening team. Right now, sitting at those 6.5s, I like that a lot because I do think Buffalo should win by a touchdown. Hopefully, they can carry that momentum in. Sort of has a trap written all over it after a big win over Pittsburgh. But for me right now, I can't bet on Denver. We just talked about it. So I got to take the Buffalo Bills. And now that I'm getting it under a touchdown right now, let's hope it sort of stays in that range. Maybe people start jumping on Denver at home and we can even get down to the 6 or 5.5. Unlikely, but possible. But right now, early in the week, all things fair here and true, I'll take the Buffalo Bills. I just can't put any money on the Denver Broncos. Can't do it.
And look what we're doing in the chat box here. This is what me and Kyle get very angry about, because when we talk about weather, we need to be correct and give people the right information. Love you, the dude, but 51 in Sunday this Sunday in Denver. It's a shame because they play on Saturday and it's going to be 38 degrees to 40 degrees. So, exactly. Yes, I would love it if it was 51 degrees. It would help out. Still going to be decent weather, but don't do that to people out here because we look at that stuff and, I thought it was going to be this. Last night before the game, case in point, we always get a kick out of. Oh, my goodness, 48 down to 45, the winds. It's so cold out here, and we come on there and tell you, trust me, it is beautiful in Cleveland tonight. Just because they went outdoors and went downtown Cleveland into a wind tunnel between buildings and told you it was blowing, stop it. Let's get this correct here because that's the difference between wins and losses. Correct information. Love the chat box. No, see, the dude says he's sorry. That's all good. That's what we're here for today. We're going to correct. We're going to get the info. We're not hating on anybody out here. We're just here to provide information and have a fantastic show. So we love you guys out there looking at that in the chat box. But that's the early game on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Second game here on Saturday, 3:43, 3:44, Carolina and Green Bay. Teddy Bridgewater and the boys going to go play Aaron Rodgers. And this game is anticipated, Kyle, mid-20s. But again, not a lot of wind. And as we know from who likes to play and what, I don't really think Green Bay has an issue with playing in cold weather. Aaron Rodgers has done it time and time again. But those Southern boys going into Green Bay, and what everybody was watching and waiting on is Christian McCaffrey going to get back into play so you can have somewhat of a semblance of offense? Because we know you can exploit that Green Bay defense. I don't know how much they want to push them. And from anybody that's had any muscle injuries, you want to play in 70 degrees. You don't want to play in 25 degrees. I don't know if he makes it to the starting line, but that's a heavy number. Again, for Green Bay at 8.5, over under at 51. I want to see how the weather plays out through the week and see if that temperature drops. If that's cold weather, I still think they get points in this game. I do, because I don't like either one of these defenses, but I need to see a little bit more if Christian McCaffrey comes back and plays. But I still have to say, I lean towards the over 51 because that's just the way these two teams played on offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we just saw, right before the show, Christian McCaffrey not expected to play. So he probably won't be there. Mike Davis has done just fine filling in. And Green Bay struggles against the run. I mean, that's the bottom line. And we've seen Green Bay as big favorites at home against Jacksonville with Jake Luton, and they barely squeaked out that game. So I just don't feel comfortable laying, 9.5. Even we're seeing some weird juice over there at 10 with our friends at BetOnline. I like early in the week. Again, I'm with you. I want to see if there's going to be any snow, what this weather does. But early in the week, I got to take Carolina to cover. And if I'm taking Green Bay, I'm teasing it down and getting that under a touchdown because I just don't trust Green Bay by that many points. I know they're the de facto 1 seed right now in the NFC, or they are the mathematic 1 seed in the NFC. But I sort of think they're with Cleveland. I don't think they're the greatest 1 seed you're going to see. And we've seen Carolina play the Chiefs tough. We've seen them play a lot of teams really tough. I think they can cover in this spot. So early in the week, I'm leaning towards the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, let's get to Sunday afternoon action here and rip through at 341, 342. Houston and Indianapolis. You saw Houston, as even Deshaun Watson, there's only so much you can do. They get leveled by the Bears. Their defense stinks. Deshaun Watson gets banged up. We'll see if he gets any help back at wide receiver. But now you take a look at, and what's our theme here, Kyle, each and every week? When do you want – I'm going to let you answer this, and then I'm going to finish here. When do you want to take Indianapolis, Kyle? When is that?
That's when they're at home in good weather conditions against a bad pass rush with their healthy offensive line. That's when you take the Indianapolis Colts. And guess what? This checks all the boxes, doesn't it?
No, it absolutely – it's at home or in a dome. And yes, they're home and in a dome this week. They should get off again. And I said it last week, and I didn't hear my own advice, even betting it myself, because it was like the team total was like 27.5, 28 by game time. Pencil them in for 26 points at a minimum this weekend. It's just a matter of how much fight you're going to get out of Houston. The thing that you do like last week is like you want Houston somewhat healthy at wide receiver because it helps Deshaun Watson out. But you also want him on turf, which he will be. Over-under set at 51. But again, the precedent here is, can Houston keep up? Because if they have a semblance of an offense to get after Indianapolis, Indianapolis will push 35 on this team with relative ease. Frank Reich, 4th and 1, don't give a damn. I'm going for the touchdown. That's usually good for your bottom line on team totals. Early in the week, Indianapolis, if I can get it at 7, which is at 7 at most outlets, I like that. Houston might put up a fight, but this team is rolling towards the playoffs, and there is no resistance on Houston's defense. It's just a matter of Houston and Deshaun Watson particularly can just do an all-world effort and put everybody on his back to try to will them into the game. I know Indianapolis is scoring. I'm not sure Houston is.
Yeah, and I mean, the health of Brandon Cooks this week will be huge. One thing I will say, when I first looked at this game and saw the 51, I wanted to hit the over right away.
Yep.
This Colts defense has not been the same. We've seen them be vulnerable in the passing game. Darius Leonard suffered an injury. Doesn't appear like it's serious. But if Darius Leonard doesn't play in this game, I'm taking the over. And then I actually think Houston has a reasonable chance to cover. Do I think the Colts win? Absolutely. The Colts are the better team at home in the Dome. And I agree, they should put up points in the 30s. So the side I really like right now is that over 51. That's what stands out to me the most early on. If the Colts are going to be without Darius Leonard, their best linebacker, the leader of that defense, then I might have to go back and watch a couple of those games where he missed and sort of see what their weaknesses are there. I do think Houston bounces back. It was cold in that Chicago game. Things weren't going right, and they absolutely packed it in. I saw that comment in the chat box, and you're 100% correct. Houston's terrible, but Deshaun Watson will keep fighting. We know that. Early in the week, I like the over. The Colts, I do think, are the better team. They're the safer play. I'd probably buy a point or two here to get that under a touchdown right now. Want to see the health of Darius Leonard as we move on throughout the week, because that's a big part of that defense that's already looked vulnerable the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, also Xavier Rhodes went down in that football game as well, but I'm just reading right now through Colts Wire. They seem to get good information back on Darius Leonard and Xavier Rhodes. Frank Reich says he'll monitor their process. They don't appear to be serious, but we'll take a look during the week. But we're optimistic that they will be fine. So certainly two key cogs in there that if you are a total backer and want the overs, you want to talk about two guys on the defense you can't afford to lose, your best cornerback and your best linebacker in the middle. We'll see how that plays out. So always something to look at. We'll know probably a little bit more on Thursday when some of those complete practice reports come back here. Detroit, don't know who they're going to get at quarterback, but trending away from Matthew Stafford. Won't spend a lot of time on this game. Minus 10.5 seems about right. Tennessee is absolutely rolling on offense. And the one thing you know is Matthew Stafford will give you an honest effort and keep you in ball games. If he's not there, you're no longer going to get that honest effort. Tennessee might roll them right out of the ballpark here. But again, not sure who the quarterback is.
Right.
If Matthew Stafford doesn't play, Detroit is a complete non-bet for me.
Yeah, well, you don't like Chase Daniel coming in there, filling in, and
we're gonna get covers.
Get it. Chase Daniel cover. No, I mean Detroit's rushing defense is awful. Derrick Henry should absolutely feast on this team. If Matthew Stafford's there, I might consider them to cover because that Tennessee defense is so weak and so vulnerable. Anybody can move the ball in that Tennessee secondary, but right now, not looking like Stafford's going to play. We got to get more information throughout the week. Only a few books seem to have a number. I'm looking at 8, 10. Too early to tell this week. Fully healthy, I might consider Detroit. Without him, you got to lean Tennessee, and it should be a huge day for Derrick Henry against this bad rushing defense of the Lions.
Yeah, looking down the line, Harold says AFC Championship game, Chiefs versus Bills, and the NFC Championship game, Saints will beat the Packers. I will take that on a nice little Sunday afternoon here heading towards the Super Bowl. Not any bad options here. Let's keep moving here. 351, 352, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Atlanta, not a great performance. They're losing to the Chargers on the road. I would say a nice performance by Tampa Bay, but if you really get into the nitty-gritty of that game, if Minnesota has a kicker, Tampa Bay, forget about covering and winning by double digits. They might not be winning at all in that football game and taking a loss. Something just isn't right in Tampa Bay, but they finally did one thing right. Give the ball to Ronald Jones 18 times, you come out with the victory. And, of course, breaks his pinky, gets a pin inserted. Not sure if he's going to play this weekend, which I think is awesome for the over. And why do I mean that? If you're taking out the guy that you want to fire up for the playoffs and keep it on the ground, Tom Brady would be more than willing to throw it 45 times in a dome versus Atlanta. And if Julio Jones comes back on the opposite side, you might be able to get some of these darts in these games. Now, two older quarterbacks, not necessarily moving targets in the pocket and making plays with their legs, which you saw last night by Baker Mayfield and obviously by Lamar Jackson. I still like that 50.5. I need to see the end of the week report, because if I can get a full wide receiving core from Atlanta, they should be able to approach the 20s. And I do think Tampa Bay in a dome, now probably throwing way more than they should be with Ronald Jones might missing this game. I do like the over, but I don't trust the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road favored by 6. I don't care. I don't trust it.
Yeah, I don't trust either one of these teams. I mean, the Falcons, you think, okay, against this defense, they should move the ball. I mean, the Chargers defense stinks, and they still could barely move the football. I know Julio Jones missed the game.
Yeah, Russell Gage threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah,
so
I mean, when they're desperate for a downfield play, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, they're giving it, it kind of reminds you of Brady last year when they needed a big play. They handled to Edelman to throw the ball, and that's
correct.
Like, I don't know what to do with this Falcons offense. I've taken the over in their games several times this year and just been burned by dismal performances by Matt Ryan. They're going to struggle to run the ball. They're not going to have any semblance of a running game against that Buccaneers front seven. The weaknesses of these two teams are their secondaries. They're both getting decimated. Early in the year, Tampa Bay looked good. Not anymore. They're playing too much zone. Carlton Davis has sort of regressed a little bit. They're getting torched. But I honestly, right now, when I looked at, I have absolutely no idea what the hell to do with this game. I think what I'll probably end up doing is making Tampa Bay a moneyline parlay piece. I don't trust the 5.5, 6 on the road. I don't trust the Falcons at home. I don't trust the total. I think the Bucs will probably score some points. I don't know what kind of effort we're going to get out of that Falcons offense. So I'm staying away from both sides of that, and right now just making Tampa Bay a moneyline parlay piece.
How about this one? Close your eyes. Opens up at 42.5, drops to 41.5, and I agree with it. That's the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I don't know if you can get more outrageous performances out of New England, winning by 45 points in Los Angeles, staying in Los Angeles, and then getting drilled and barely even scoring the next week. It's amazing, but the day-to-day operation of the NFL changes each and every week. Now they're going to go play the Miami Dolphins with a lot to play for. You can look at the final score of that game and say, boy, they really fought. But let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, they were getting dropped by 21 heading into the fourth quarter, which it seems like Kansas City just messes around and says, oh, whoa, they're within a touchdown. Well, let me just take the ball and waste the clock and score late so they actually can't win the football game. I do give Miami credit. But again, we're going up against an organization in New England that not really centered on making the playoffs at this point. I don't know. Tua, I know I'm going to get an honest performance out of, where he's going to be active in the pocket, he's going to roll out, he's going to throw the football. The only problem is, who is he actually throwing to? Because my favorite tweet of the week came out, hey, guys, Devontae Parker, slight hamstring injury. Let me phone ahead till Sunday. Yeah, Devontae Parker, he's not playing this Sunday. Let's stop with the nonsense. So who's actually getting the ball in this game, which I like the under. Side, I think Miami wins, not going anywhere near that side, but I do like the under.
Yeah, because New England, again, it's an enigma. I mean, literally both of the you could see 170 combined passing yards from both teams in this game. Now, I will say this. I liked what I saw out of Tua, I know it was sort of garbage time in the fourth quarter, but I like that he was throwing the ball up. He lost Parker early, was giving Gesicki chances. We got to keep an eye on Mike Gesicki as well, who got hurt. So, but I like the mentality there, where he's throwing the ball up, kind of making it more of an explosive passing attack. You're facing a really good secondary. The New England secondary has been very, very good the last several weeks. They were even pretty good on that Thursday night game. It was Cam Akers was absolutely unstoppable in that game. Are we going to have Myles Gaskin this week for Miami? So many unknowns. I do lean the under. I want nothing to do with either side. This feels like an absolute trap where New England makes me look stupid again, so I'm staying the hell away from this game. But since we pick every game here, I'm with you. I like the under. I don't see a lot of points here, and I will take the better football team at home. I'll take the Miami Dolphins.
355, 356 Seattle and Washington. 6 out of 10 tickets here on SBRodds.com coming in on Seattle. And if you missed anything on the show, people, you can look right below us talking. SBRpicks.com/NFL, get in the Pick 6 contest. Check out the content we have, videos, write-ups, everything you need to be a better NFL gambler. But this game here opened up at 4 Pinnacle Offshore. Now we're seeing 5.5s and even 6s across the board. I agree with that 100%, unless if Washington can score twice on defense, they'll be in this game. But we're headed for a start for Dwayne Haskins and that pathetic offense. Seattle probably just needs to get to 20, and they'll have enough points to cover that 6. I think they will. Washington's offense is below the Giants, below the Eagles, and below the Cowboys in the division. I don't care who's like, you're either going to get Alex Smith with a bum ankle now on top of his broken in half leg, And what's he supposed to – by the way, if you looked at the actual final statistics in that Washington game versus San Francisco, they threw for 3 yards per pass attempt, not completion, Kyle. Every time they stepped back and threw the football, it was only good for 3. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Seattle in a blowout win over Washington.
Yeah, and Seattle usually doesn't play to blowouts, but they did it to the Jets. And look, the Washington defense is fantastic. There's no doubt about it. Jets offense right now, I take them over Washington's. Go ahead. It's hard for me to disagree with that. And Antonio Gibson will be a big factor if he's able to return. But you're right now. Seattle under a touchdown. Dwayne Haskins is Ryan Leaf type bust material. He's Josh Rosen type bust material. The kid was not ready. He has no confidence now. I mean, they sent him home how many weeks in a row? If Kyle Allen was healthy, they wouldn't even be considering Dwayne Haskins. So the kid has no confidence. A little bit of rapport with his college teammate, Terry McLaurin. We've seen some big plays out of them occasionally. But I just don't see how they keep up with Seattle. Seattle knows they need to win. They're in a dogfight with the Rams for that division in the NFC. All those teams are still alive for the number 1 seed in the NFC. I think Seattle comes out here. Boat races Washington. Certainly aren't going to put up 40 like they did against the Jets. I think you see a lower output there. But the Seattle defense isn't very good. But again, the Washington offense is so bad. This feels like one of those, like 30-10 type of games. I might even lean the under here because I just don't think Washington can put out enough points. And I do like the Washington defense enough to sort of keep the Seattle offense in check, not shut them down completely. Give me Seattle, give them big, and I'll take the under 44.5.
Yeah, San Francisco last week would have went with the Delaware wing T offense. They would have blown Washington off the field, but neither here nor there. 357, 358, Chicago and Minnesota. Mitchell Trubisky operating pretty well against bad defenses. Guess what? It's going to get another bad defense this week and in a dome up in Minnesota. Like the performance that Minnesota had, just because their kicker got in the way, they were a formidable opponent against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. Still trying to factor in the maybe an outside chance of making the playoffs. They're favored by 3.5. And I do agree with that slightly, but I need to see Eric Kendricks back in the lineup for Minnesota before I go say, hey, I want to back Minnesota. Because the one thing I know, their offense is going to move the football. Minnesota moves it on everybody. They have dynamic players at positions that you need to score. But my question here coming in is, am I going to get another competent performance out of Mitchell Trubisky? If we keep on handing the football off to David Montgomery, that is a winning recipe. The kid is dynamite. I think they can work off of play action. I like points in this game. It's sitting at 47. I think both of these teams can approach the 20s, giving you a fighting chance for that 47.
Yeah, I don't want any part of the sides here because I don't know which team to trust here. Trubisky, are we really going back to we did it on Sunday. We went to the Trubisky train. It paid off. The week before, it obviously burned us against the Lions. Then now you get Kirk Cousins at home against not such a good team. So you can trust Kirk Cousins a little bit more in this spot. Absolutely a must-win for Minnesota. I guess if you're Chicago, too, you could probably talk yourself into that must-win because they're sort of in the playoff hunt there as well. I agree. I like the over in this game. I think both offenses move the ball. The Chicago defense is not the monsters of the Midway. This is not a dominant Bears defense. It's certainly a beatable Bears defense. Both teams need to win. I think this is a really close game. So the bet for me in this game right now is the over. If I'm picking a side, I don't know if I can take Trubisky at home or on the road. So I guess I would take Kirk Cousins at home, but I feel real iffy about that. I like the over 47 early in the week.
359, 360, 1 o'clock game, Jacksonville and Baltimore. Baltimore impressive last night on the ground. And they don't need a great aerial show as long as they're running for like 8 yards a clip, which they've done, I believe, 2 out of their last 3 games, and getting healthy at the right time. The defense didn't put up a great effort. I got banged up as the game went on. So we'll see who's going to come back in that secondary. So if they look at this game and say, hey, we're trying to make a playoff run, sure, they're going to try to get everybody to the starting gate. But do you really need to get there against a Jacksonville team that you're favored by about 14? Weather, no real concerns here. Northeast getting colder, obviously, since it's being into December, but somewhere around that 40, 42 degrees. But the key, again, 3 to 4 mile-an-hour winds anticipated on Sunday. They're going to put up a lot of points because Jacksonville's defense doesn't offer any resistance. And finally, I don't know what we were doing in Jacksonville saying, hey, Jake Luton, get out there and run around. You stink. Mike Glennon, competent performance early on, but it's clear that there's a reason he's 30 years old and he's not a starter anymore in the NFL. They go to Minshew. The offense looks like it operates down the stretch in that game last night they played. You're going to need a lot of offense against Baltimore. And the one way that you saw last night, I mean, hell, look, Cleveland's got a great offensive line, some good wide receivers, and a dominant running game. you have a mini Cleveland Browns, so to speak, here. If you're taking a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, you have the quarterback that's mobile with an arm that's willing to take risks. You have a good, young, dynamic running back, and you have a wide receiving core that's very underrated because Luton and Glennon couldn't get him the football. They should be able to put up some points here. Not to say they're going to score 28 against the Ravens or 42 like Cleveland scored. They're sneaky here, and Jacksonville is not going to stop anything that Baltimore does on offense. Again, I like the over here, 45, 40, actually 46.5 range. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, are you ready for this? Because we're about to add another team to the fraud list. And you know who that team is?
I'm ready.
The Baltimore Ravens are frauds. They are, if without a dominant defense, do you really continue to trust? I mean, will they put up points against Jacksonville? Of course, everybody does. Jacksonville's defense is absolutely terrible. So is Cleveland's, for that matter. But if that Baltimore defense is going to continue to play this way, they have absolutely no shot in the postseason. They're not going to beat a good team, especially on the road, without winning this division. It's not going to happen. If you get up on this team, they're lucky they won that game last night. I know they were down early, but they tied it up right away. But if you have a second half lead of 7 or more points against Baltimore, they're in a lot of trouble because Lamar Jackson simply can't throw the football. There's quite a few quarterbacks like, look, he's a dynamic athlete, and I love everything about Lamar Jackson. I think he's a great kid, everything else. But he can't throw the football. We've seen Jacksonville go on the road and give the Packers a hard time. We saw him give the Colts a hard time early on in the season. I actually think I'm not taking Baltimore by 2 touchdowns against anybody outside of maybe the Jets. I think Jacksonville covers here. I think you get an honest effort. Gardner Minshew throws the ball up and down the field because that Baltimore defense, not any good. James Robinson should do really well. They can't stop the run anymore in Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens, they're frauds. Cleveland Browns, they're frauds. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover early in the week. Let's get some pain on a Tuesday.
Yeah, they played a couple good offenses in a row. Baltimore gave up 250 in the air, 266 in the air, 277 in the air, and 355 last night in the air. So Minshew's going to be slinging it. And the best part about Minshew is he's Fitzpatrick Jr., which is boom or bust, and that is sensational for team totals, for overs and whatnot. 367, 368, tough game for me here. Pinnacle opens up -1, quickly goes up to -3. We're talking San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on San Francisco. San Francisco is the better football team here. But I have a serious issue now where I thought like you could mask some of the stuff that, because again, looking at the game on Sunday, and looking at San Francisco, I thought San Francisco would win and cover. They get the 7-0 lead. But you can have bad quarterback play. You can't have pathetic, embarrassing quarterback play and expect to beat any football team. Because if Nick Mullins didn't drop back to pass, they win the football game. And that's embarrassing to say because he literally gave the football game away repeatedly when they should have been able to hang around and win that game. Now, I don't care if Mostert left the game early, came back banged up. Deebo Samuel went out like the first play of the game. You should still be able to do enough because getting to like 17 points, you'll beat the Washington football team. But if you get the 17 points, but you give the other team 14 points because your offense is so bad, they give it up they give up the defensive touchdown. I can't trust it. But I see this game. Dallas can't block anybody. Their running game is a non-factor anymore. You have a quarterback that can't get out of the way. Yes, you have some semblance of 3 nice wide receivers. Yeah. But even when you look at last week and go over the game that they played versus Cincinnati, I'm just going to bring up some of the play here. I had to play on the team total over for the Dallas Cowboys. Looked like it was going to be easy in the first half, struggled as we went down the stretch. But as I take a look at that game, used to be able to plug it in and be like, hey, if they get a lead, Zeke can make a big play, Pollard can make a big play, or they could do something. They no longer have that in effect, and their offense was enigmatic against a really poor team in Cincinnati. I like the under in this football game, but I don't know if I can bring myself to take the 49ers. I can't get these nightmare offensive performances out of my mind where just hand the football to Mostert and your other running backs and run screen plays and you'll win, but yet Mullins just can't get that simple throw down. Killing me.
Well, here's the good news for the 49ers this week. We're going to go opposite on my 49ers. I told you they were going to lose last week. I mean, they could not move the ball. That Washington defense is very good. The Cowboys defense, very, very, very bad. So no matter who's at running back for the 49ers, even if Mostert doesn't, I know he returned to the game, Wilson, the 49ers should be able to run the ball down their throats. They don't pose the same sort of challenge in the secondary as Washington did. So even if Nick Mullins isn't very good, He's going to have a lot of open space to work with this week, no matter who's at wide receiver. And the 49ers secondary is equipped to handle these Dallas receivers. A little bit worried about Amari Cooper. He's one of those quicker guys that can sort of beat up on the secondary a little bit, sort of take away the positioning and sort of football IQ of Richard Sherman. But I think the 49ers win this game. I think they run up and down their throat. Mike McCarthy was our former offensive coordinator for the 49ers. He was instrumental in us drafting Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers with that massive IQ of Mike McCarthy's. And if you remember when he took that job over in Green Bay, our 49ers were 30th, dead last, as before the two expansion teams, dead last in offense that year. And they still gave him the head coaching job in Green Bay. Mike McCarthy's a trash can. I've been the Cowboys whisperer this year. This is a game they lose at home. The 49ers run up and down their throat, cause some turnovers for Andy Dalton. Give me my 49ers this week against a bad Dallas defense.
All right, Jets coming to town here to play the Los Angeles Rams, and it's going to get ugly quick. I'm looking right at a first-half number here. Pinnacle and also FanDuel New Jersey showing 9.5. They will be up probably at least, I don't want to say at least because, 14 points, I would say at least at the half. They are a dead team walking the Jets. They just got beat up by a team that usually can do whatever you want on defense, hang around. Seattle exposed them and embarrassed them. Now you're going to get a look at an upper echelon defense and a team that is going to be able to hit you with the running game and the passing game. The Jets do not stand a chance. So I want to take the 17. I probably do because the Jets aren't trying to put drives together late in games when they're down 20-plus points. But the one thing I do know, they'll throw the kitchen sink at them, being the Rams in the first half, and hopefully they'll be up 28-3 at the half. They can take a rest in the second. So they will be up double digits in the first half. Give me the Rams first half here. Eviscerate the Jets.
Oh, yeah. If you're the Jets and you can't score more than 3 points with a few missed field goals against the Seahawks, that Rams defense is exponentially better than the Seahawks defense. The Rams, for my money, I think the Rams are the best defense in the league. I truly do believe that. I think they have talent across the board. Love the secondary, love the front seven. Rams the best defense. And it's not like Jared Goff's going to be – the Jets, they rushed the pass for a little bit. Now without Greg Williams there, he was a much more aggressive defensive coordinator. One of the most aggressive defensive coordinators of all time, really. You'd have to take the Rams here. Of course, when I look at games like this and it's 16, 17 double digits, the only way I'm betting it is if I can justify – the underdog covering, figuring out a way to get, and I can't do that in this one. I'm not taking any more Jets pain. I've learned my lesson. Not taking any more Jets pain. I'm staying the hell away from this game. But of course, if you're picking a side, you cannot pick the Jets. You'd have to pick the Rams. Let's get the hell away from this game. Just get the hell away.
Yeah, Clinton Richardson, don't bet the Jets. Akbar, the Jets are a dead soul walking. AP, I can't bet against the Rams. It's a heavy number. A competent football team should be able to cover that because a 20-point lead in the NFL is a monster lead, and usually the offense can do some damage against the defense. That'll just be playing and prevent. Hey, walk it down the field. As long as you take 6 minutes, we'll let you get a touchdown. The Jets aren't even competent. Again, when you get beat by 37 points and have 185 yards of offense, that's outrageous because you should have 185 yards in the fourth quarter alone down 37 points. But that's how enigmatic that offense is. And now they're going to get Aaron Donald pushing that pocket up them. It's going to get ugly. They'll be up by at least 10 at the half. Yeah. How about this one? 4 o'clock. Let's go right here. All right, let's get loose.
Oh boy, here we go.
363, 364. Jalen Hurts. As much as we love Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, as much as it was nice to see a victory here, when did Jalen Hurts turn into Patrick Mahomes the way he's getting talked about over the first 3 days? Wentz has been god-awful this year. And that's why Jalen Hurts is so beloved on Monday and Tuesday. Oh, my God, he's the future here. He wasn't great passing. He didn't push the football downfield. Yes, wins are what matters. And I love the way he played as a rookie in his first start against a really good football team with no offensive line. I will take that each and every time. But the fact that he didn't drop back, it wasn't 25 for 30, 400 yards, and another 75 yards on the ground. It was painful to still watch this offense, but it felt so good because, holy cow, we got like 17 points. Oh, my God. This is a miracle. It's so much fun to watch because we're not used to that in Philadelphia. Now you're going on the road to play Arizona. And, oh, yeah, that little quarterback on the other side, he's healthy and letting it rip on all levels. When you take a look at the Eagles, they will be competent. They will play hard. But eventually, as you saw, they will get injured, just like they did on Sunday for the Eagles. 3/4 of the secondary looks like they might not play this weekend. And when you take a look, you're only lasting up. Darius Slay, God love the guy. He'll guard your number one. He'll go out on an island. He'll be right there, and seemingly this year just can't make the play. He has a concussion. If he doesn't go, Nuke Hopkins gets that 10 for 180 this weekend. You can put that in. Rodney McLeod, best safety on the team, tore his knee up. He's out for the year. The other quarterback, Avonte Maddox, he's probably not going to play this week either. And if Darius Slay doesn't go, you're talking about rookie undrafted free agents off the street that just joined the Eagles a week and a half ago. And oh yeah, on the offensive line, we talked about a little bit Dave Mason. You're now down to your fourth string at both left tackle and right tackle against a team that sacked the New York Giants 8 or 9 times. Hassan Reddick had 5 sacks alone. So the one thing you love about the Eagles that we talk about is what? That pass rush. You know who can avoid that pass rush? Kyler Murray. 6-point line. Eagles aren't going to win this game. I want Jalen Hurts to play well, but if we're looking over the injury situation on the Eagles, I don't know how they keep up this weekend because Taysom Hill, nice fill-in, can do some things. Kyler Murray is Taysom Hill times 5. He'll do some damage.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the injuries in the secondary because that's the real problem here. So now they're going to bring the pressure. They're going to blitz. Kyler Murray can beat you with his legs, and he's going to have wide open receivers downfield. And when you watch Kyler Murray, yes, he's a running quarterback, but one thing I really love about Kyler Murray is he's always looking to throw first, even on the run. His eyes are always downfield, and then he just makes one little move. If you're playing man-to-man back there, you're toast. If you're playing zone with all these backups, it kind of feels like last year. I mean, Philadelphia went through this last year in their secondary and their wide receiving core, as a matter of fact, on that playoff run. Look, normally I think the line's a little high. I know the Eagles are going to fight, but I just don't see how they keep up with Arizona early in the week. Maybe if they get Darius Slay back, that helps a little bit. He hasn't been great this year. He's tried hard, but you're right. He just hasn't made the play. This should be a nice spot for that Arizona offense. The Arizona defense isn't very good. They played good against the Giants. I do think the Eagles offense is better, so they could put up points. So I might lean the over 49 here, but I like the Cardinals early in the week. Just too many injuries again for the Eagles. They got to find themselves a strength and conditioning coach because, man, every year it's the injury report for the Eagles is just devastating. I mean, last year, you remember, they had no receivers, no secondary plays. They still found their way into the playoffs. It's not going to happen this year, most likely. I think Arizona rolls this weekend.
Yeah, because when you take a look at, this is going to be the 15th week. The Eagles will have their 13th different offensive line combination heading into this weekend. And it's not like you're just mix and matching pros coming back. You're talking about guys that shouldn't be playing in the NFL that are trying to get out there. So, again, if Carson Wentz played, they probably wouldn't score this weekend. But at least you have a guy that's going to be able to escape the pocket and make some plays. But, again, there's nobody really to make the plays. It's all him, and that's hard to do as a rookie to try to go on the road and win, specifically when your defense that's been keeping everything together, now they're breaking down as well. So that's going to be a tough one to look out for. I'm going to keep this game short. 425, game of the week, 365, 366, Kansas City, New Orleans.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes versus, it says undecided on some things. I doubt it's going to be Drew Brees. But I look at some of these lines that are showing up now. There's 2.5s with some juice. Bet Rivers out of Pennsylvania, DraftKings out of New Jersey. But primarily it's 3.
Yeah. That's too low.
It's Kansas City. It's way too low. I love what New Orleans brings to the table. But if we're going to go Taysom Hill versus Patrick Mahomes in a 3-point game, are you kidding me? Chiefs all day.
In a dome? I mean, come on. And look, I've been going against the Chiefs, and it's worked out. They are not covering those 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-point spreads. They've just not done it. A 3-point spread against most likely Taysom Hill in a dome with hardly any fans. All those strengths of that New Orleans defense go to waste because I don't care how good Marshawn Lattimore is. He cannot keep up with Tyreek Hill, who is absolutely red hot right now. I mean, scoring a touchdown in every game, you can't stop him. Anytime you get in the Chiefs 3 or under, just lock it in, bet it early in the week, hope COVID doesn't hit. I like the Chiefs.
Yep, me too. And also in the Sunday Night Football game here, Cleveland, you saw them lose last night, but that's a competent football team. Denzel Ward's going to practice this week, and that is a massive boon to that secondary that is so depleted and terrible. Even though they didn't give up a lot of pass yards, against a good passing offense, you can get gashed. But hey, it's the New York Giants that we're looking at it. And say what you want about Ron Rivera getting a lot out of his team and maybe Doug Peterson trying to push this injured Eagles team, and you look at, Joe Judge trying to push this, whatever it is. I don't think they understand concept of time because I keep getting back to this. It's 2020 in the NFL. You're not winning games, Joe Judge, where you say, I'm going to hold the other team to 10 points and see what I can run the football. That's old school bonkers, because Cleveland is going to put up points against your defense. And I don't see any semblance of offense that you even care. Let's crank up the running game like it's 1984 and we're Bo Schembechler at Michigan. That's not going to work in the NFL. I guess you're trying to get to the finish line, maybe win the division, but you got to have bigger thoughts here saying, hey, look, let my quarterback run an actual offense. That was putrid on Sunday. It was putrid the week before against Seattle. And I don't see it changing all that much. I think Cleveland wins by a touchdown here on Sunday night, because I see Cleveland putting up points, and I am praying that the Giants can get first downs. Give me the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, look, I still think the Browns are frauds, and I'm going to keep an eye on this weather. I don't know what's going on with that storm. It's 33 degrees, not looking like a lot of wind, and they sort of
no
played
wind.
in that
Yeah, it looks like
night.
a good night. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's a good night, even though I do like the Giants secondary, James Bradbury, etc., if they just keep giving the ball to those two running backs, you're right. There's just no fight in that Giants offense.
None.
It's a beatable Browns defense for sure, but have we seen any reason to? I mean, that was a beatable Cardinals defense this last week, and they looked pathetic. They looked absolutely pathetic.
Awful.
So as much as I don't trust the Browns, and yes, I still think they're a fraud, but I'm with you. I got to take the Cleveland Browns. I think they win this game, lock up their playoff position, and let's get ready to fade Cleveland in the first round of the AFC playoffs. Can't wait for that.
Just going to keep on hammering that Cleveland team. That's what we like.
That's right.
That's what we like out of you.
That's right.
By the way, Monday Night Football, last game we'll talk about 369-370. Just a horrible game. And yes, the entertainment here at sportsbookreview.com will be much better than probably the product on the field. But as they say, there could be some money to be made as I take a look at some of the early weather reports. 46, 47 degrees here in Cincinnati for late December. Not bad. Winds around 10, 12 miles an hour. But Cincinnati is horrendous. I mean, all across the board, they don't do anything well. My only question here is, do I get an engaged Pittsburgh Steelers? Because the one thing we know about Pittsburgh is every time they run the ball, that's a win for the defense. Every time Big Ben audibles or turns around to hand off to anybody in the backfield, that is a stone-cold win for the other team. But having said that, on offense, is Big Ben engaged? Because he's doing his passive-aggressive best now. Well, if you guys don't like me in Pittsburgh, maybe I should just hang them up. Enough, Ben. Then hang them up and just get out of town. Because this team was unbeaten and dancing and loving life, and nobody can beat us. Now, all of a sudden, Big Ben's threatening he's going to retire if the people aren't nice to him. He wasn't engaged against the Buffalo Bills. He should be in this game. 14 points. I don't like it that high. Sits around 13, 12 and a half. Over under is, I would like to take the over in this game, but 7 is a lot for Cincinnati to get in this one. So.
Yeah, and we don't know who's going to play a quarterback. Brandon Allen, he's hurt again, so we don't know if it'll be Jeff Driscoll. Pittsburgh should come out like Big Ben. Are you really trying to get sympathy, dude? Like you should have been in prison the last 10 years. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, I don't feel sorry for you, you goofy piece of crap. Like, seriously, that's what I think Big Ben is. Just a goofy piece of crap. I'm sorry. Look, I've made a lot of money on the Steelers this year. They've been good to me. They should cover in this game. Cincinnati is god-awful. Pittsburgh should come out red hot. I don't want to hear any more pouting. Like, just shut the hell up, Big Ben. Like, seriously, shut the hell up. I've heard enough of that. Pittsburgh should get it done. I'm going to have to rewatch these games. You're right. We're going to have a lot more fun having some drinks on our show than this game will be to watch, because it's going to be dreadful.
Nope. And there you go. Nice little opening line show for Week 15, kicking it off. As you guys know, we come back, do it all over again on Thursday. Same time, same bat channel. Sharpen those pencils. Get you ready for that Thursday night football game. And then again, probably the most fun show of the week that we do Sunday, 12 o'clock, right here on the closing line. A lot of stuff going on at sportsbookreview.com. If you're just tuning in or watching the replay and missed some of the action, you can always click that link below, sbrpicks.com/NFL. Get in the Pick 6 contest. Obviously, you're not going to come in Week 15 and win the overall competition, but you can still cash in on some of those weekly prizes. And again, thank you guys for coming in the chat box, having some fun with us here and talking some football on a Tuesday. 76,600 people have hit that subscribe button. It's awesome. We are on our way to 100,000, building this channel each and every day. And it's not me and Kyle building the channel or anybody sitting here on air that actually does this. It's you guys in the chat box pushing that button, subscribing, liking the content, and watching the content, which allows us to come on here and talk some NFL football. football, and we do appreciate you guys to the fullest coming in here low. Only 44 likes in that chat, so hey, maybe you didn't like all the winners we gave out last night, but we do appreciate it with those thumbs up. But as I said again, we will be back on Thursday again on our NFL Key show here. All the good graphics pop up. We should have the pencil sharpened, getting after it. A lot of people do a lot of good stuff here behind the scenes that you don't see. So thank you once again for joining us today. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Kyle Purviance. We are sportsbookreview.com, and this was your opening line show for Week 15. Good luck on your wagers, guys.
Yeah.